Welcome to this edition of Finance in 5 Minutes presented by Stratfield Solutions. Today we're going to be looking at how to find the future value using Microsoft Excel. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for additional video updates. Let's jump right in. So as far as an overview of this formula, we can use the future value function, also known as FV, to determine a future value that a cash flow is worth given a duration of time, a present value, and an interest rate. You may also have recurring payments, and I'll show you how to use this formula and function in Excel to calculate that as well. You sure could do it by hand, but it takes a lot of steps, and fortunately, Excel has a super easy formula to use, so we'll make some use of that and take advantage of it. Some tips and cautions when using this formula. Make sure that you list out all the information you know about the series of cash flows, including things like the present value if you have one, the applicable rate of interest, the number of periods that this cash flow is going to take place over, payments if there are any, and then also if you're using payments, make sure to validate if they start at the beginning, which is for an annuity due, of a period, or at the end, which is referred to as an ordinary annuity of the period. That'll be very helpful to go through what you have there. Now, some versions may have a guess, depending on what formula you're using. That's an optional and seldom used input, and it does not apply here in future value, so we don't need to spend any more time on that. The formula syntax for future value within Excel is FV. Of course, you have to have the equal sign before the FV. The rate, the applicable interest rate, number of periods, payments, if there are any, present value, if you have one, and then the type, meaning the beginning of the period or the end of the period. NPER is the number of applicable periods for the rate. So if you have 5 months that you're going to be putting something in for, then that's going to be 5. Could be years. Make sure that your interest rate and the number of payments are corresponding. So you don't want to have an annual rate of interest with monthly compounding. So you can refer to some of our other videos on the effective rate or the nominal rate of interest, which I'll link within the description of this video if you need help with understanding that. Payments are the reoccurring payments. If there are none, meaning you just have a present value and you want to see what one present value is worth in the future, you can enter 0 for the payments. Similarly, present value is optional. If you don't have a present value and you just have a series of deposits, you could make a present value as 0, or you can leave it blank. It's an optional input. Excel assumes that it's 0 if you don't put anything in. Again, keep in mind, if you're using payments, make sure to validate whether they start at the beginning or at the end of the period, just like I referred to in the previous slide. With that, I'm going to hop over into Excel, show you a quick practical example, and then you will be good to use the future value function. Okay, so here we are in Microsoft Excel, and I've laid out a very simple table of the inputs that we talked about in the lecture slide. So I've written out a question here, which is what is the future value in an account in 10 years if there is currently $100 in the account today. The interest rate is 8% on an annual basis, and deposits of $50 are made into the account every year, starting a year from today. So I've already wrote the future value formula here in the yellow cell, but once I type in the inputs, I will show you how the function was actually derived. So the present value, there's $100 in the account today. We're going to make $50 worth of payments into the account, and we're going to do this over 10 years. The interest rate is 8% annual, and you'll see that the future value has come out to be a negative, and I'll explain that in a second as well. If you click in the cell with the formula, you'll see just those inputs that we discussed. The rate, 8% in the blue cell, the number of periods, 10 in the red cell, the payments that go into the account in the purple cell. Now you notice here that there is no negative sign. I always remind students and people using Excel and present and future values that cash outflows, meaning if it's leaving your hand and going into your bank account, should be put in as a negative. Just like the present value. That money is not in your hand, it is out of your hand, so you should put it in as a negative. When I do this, it will change the answer to be the correct one, and the future value of this $100 with 10 years of $50 being deposited at a 8% annual interest rate would give us $940.22. So that's all there is to it. That's the future value function within Excel. Again, I hope you like this video. Please subscribe to our channel for future updates and check us out at StratfieldSolutions.com. Take care.